When my 28-year-old sister May was 20, she got pregnant with her daughter Reese. My parents immediately rushed to coddle her and help her and her now husband Mike, who is 33 years old, with everything. She continued college while my parents paid for everything she and her child would need. Mike worked with my dad as an intern at his company while also continuing to go to college, and this continued even after she gave birth. My parents would watch her kid until she or Mike came home, and I always found that to be very unfair on my parents. Well, after college, May and Mike got married and had 2 more kids, twin girls, 4 years old, and they have great lives. They both work late hours sometimes, so my mum or dad will watch the kids until either one comes home. I again think this is unfair, and I absolutely hate how they are using my parents as free babysitters. It's uncool, in my opinion. Well, my parents decided to visit my aunt in another state and left on Tuesday. I was happy about this because this will force my sister to grow up and learn that she can't use our parents the way she does. Well, that didn't happen because she asked me if I could watch the twins for an hour until Mike comes home while she takes Reese to the hospital after she hurt herself. I immediately told her no and told her to find someone else. She was disappointed and then spent half an hour on the phone asking everyone she knew if they could watch the twins. Everyone said what I said, and she nearly broke down crying when she looked at me. She began begging and telling me she'll even pay me for watching them just this once. I again told her no, and that they are her kids and she needs to finally grow up and actually watch them. She said nothing and quickly got the kids out and in the car before driving off. An hour later I was called by my mum, and she was telling me how disappointed she was in me and how family helps family. I said they do, but I refused to coddle May the way she and Dad did, that May needs to grow up and watch her own kids. Mum said nothing before hanging up. So am I the idiot for refusing to babysit? Edit. I've been seeing this question a lot, so I'll answer everyone here. My parents have never complained about watching the kids. They actually offer to watch them most times, so my sister and her husband don't have to pay for daycare. My sister also has never asked me to watch them until now. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. You're the idiot. First of all, many grandparents provide free childcare for their grandchildren. This is extremely common and isn't uncool. If your parents have an issue with the amount of time your sister asks of them, that is between them and your sister, and has nothing to do with you. Now, as for you, obviously you are not obligated to provide free or paid childcare when your parents are unavailable. But in this specific instance, it doesn't sound like it was a typical situation where your sister just wanted you to sub in for what your parents usually do. No, in this case one of the kids was injured and had to be taken to the hospital, and yet you had no sympathy and refused to watch the other kids for only an hour. Now that is uncool. Comment 2. You're the idiot. And a major freaking one. She needed help when her child was hurt, and you wanted to be petty about it. Okay, want to teach her a lesson? Do it, but another time. You are her sister, and you were apparently available, so why not help? Because you purposefully wanted to be a weenie. From what you described, it seems both your sister and her husband work to try and provide for their children, and they sometimes use the help of your parents to look after the children during certain inconveniences. There is no reason in the world to act the way you did. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Your saltiness towards your sister is completely undeserved. I don't know if you're jealous of her or what, but refusing to babysit for an hour so your sister can take her child to the hospital because you think they are her kids and she needs to grow up and finally watch them is a really bizarre take. There is nothing ungrown up about grandparents helping with childcare when both parents work. Your whole take on this situation is way uncool in my opinion. Now for the next story. My 27-year-old wife's 23-year-old grandmother is downsizing and moving into a retirement community. Rather than put everything into storage and wait until she passes away, her grandmother is giving away everything that won't fit into her new home to her family. Part of my wife's loot was a French butter keeper. If you don't know what that is, I will try and explain. It is a ceramic bowl roughly the size of a large mug with no handle. The lid has a smaller bowl attached to it, and when you put it on, the smaller bowl fits inside the bigger bowl upside down. That is important to the story. The bigger bowl has some water in it. That keeps the butter cool and forms an airtight seal to protect the butter. I told my wife that it was really cool, and I set it up. She said that I set it up wrong, and she emptied out the water and flipped the thing upside down. About a week later I came home, and she was crying because she broke it. A little butter had gotten between the two bowls and made them kind of tacky, I guess. When she picked up the outer bowl lid, the smaller one came with it. Butter does not make a good adhesive, so when it was a few inches up, the bottom came loose and fell. It hit at just the wrong angle and broke. My wife says I should have explained better why she was wrong. She said that I let her break it to prove a point. She's upset with me for letting her break a gift. I'm not sure what she would have wanted me to explain. Gravity, the adhesive coefficient of butter, how lids work. I showed her the right way and let her have her way when she called it dumb. I think if she really cared, it would have taken 5 seconds to YouTube a video of how to use the damn thing. Now here are the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot you can lead a horse to water, but she is projecting and is rationalizing because the item meant something to her, and she F you. It is a safe bet if you did anything else, she'd have accused you of mansplaining. She obviously was content with her approach for a week, and obviously didn't realize how delicate and irreplaceable it was until it was lost. Hallmark movie material writ small. Comment 2, not the idiot. Is it a habit of hers to blame others for her mistakes? It's wild to me how she came to the conclusion this is somehow your fault, especially after she called you dumb when you did try to explain it to her. Comment 3, what a lot of kerfuffle over something that is broken. It cannot be fixed. Move on. BTW, I just keep my butter in a random plastic container. It stays on the counter for weeks and has never gone mouldy. Now for the next story. I'm going to host the event myself and I will do that for a while. In our family we rotate who hosts the family event. This Halloween party is being done by my son and everyone was invited but his sister. She, Amy, cheated on her long-distance boyfriend about 4 months ago. I don't approve of what she did, it was shitty of her. Now my son has taken her cheating personally, extremely personally. I had to tell him to shut up about it multiple times. Now today I was talking with her and she didn't know when the party was. I called up my son and he told me she isn't invited. I told him I will not be going if everyone in the family is invited besides her. This is when the argument broke out. He called me some creative names for defending the intimacy lover of the family. I hung up after that. I told my husband what happened and he's also not going now. My son is pissed and I'm getting messages for not going to the party. Edit. He is 28 and she is 23. I've talked to him about it. He can't stand sluts, his exact words. He's never been cheated on from my knowledge. She already did that, apologized to the ex, and then they broke up. She didn't hide it. His attitude about this makes me think this will be a problem with him for a long time. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. What your daughter does in her relationships is none of your son's business. Cheating sucks for the other person, but it is up to her to deal with that and learn from it. Your son is free to give his opinion about it respectfully if she asks for it, but slut-shaming her, not allowing her to come to his party, and acting like he was the one being cheated on is way too much. Your son sounds like an AH. I think you were right to side with your daughter. It really should not be affecting your son so much, and the fact that it does is weird, and he needs to get help for that. You can talk to your son and address why he is so worried about what his sister does. If he starts calling her an intimacy lover, you need to tell him that he is not allowed to disrespect his sister in your presence, and you will cease communication if it continues. He doesn't have to have her at his parties or talk to her, but you don't need to go to his parties or talk to him either. It goes both ways. He is being disrespectful and seems to have an anger problem if he is calling you and your daughter names. Does he typically disrespect women and fly off the handle like that because that is very concerning? Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your son is a weirdo busybody and a creep at this point. What his sister does is not his business or your business. Long-distance relationships rarely work, and it also doesn't seem like they were that serious. Relationships end. Normally one should end one before starting another, but, well, she sounds young. Is she in college? I also don't understand why a Halloween party is a family event. But if your son is excluding people for things that don't affect a single other attendee at the party, then he is being an AH. He is the only AH in relation to this story, because Amy's love life is not your business. Comment 3. Info. Though your son isn't the wronged party, cheating can create a very negative opinion of someone. Have you talked with your son to find out why he took her cheating so harshly? Was he cheated on before? Have you asked him what can make things right between him and his sister? Does he just need time? Will he now and forever think that little of her? What are your children's ages? Now for the next story. Came home from doing grocery shopping to find a car parked across my driveway. I wandered up the street and found a house having a bridal shower. I knocked on the door there and asked the girl who answered the door if she knew whose car it was. She didn't, but said she would find out. I went back home and 5 minutes later this other girl walks down the street. I say to her, in what world is parking across someone's driveway acceptable? Her response was that she was in a hurry, and didn't see a yellow line on the road, so she thought she could park there. I asked her if she was actually serious in thinking she can park across a driveway just because there's no yellow line, and then continued to berate her because I had to take my daughter inside, who was asleep in the cold. My wife thinks I overreacted and thinks I was TA. I countered with at least I didn't call a tow truck, and in the future when she goes to park her car, hopefully she'll remember the confrontation and park in a way that doesn't inconvenience other people. So Reddit, am I the idiot? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It takes a serious lack of brain power to think it's okay to park in front of someone's driveway. You are right. You easily could have reported her to the police, who would either have ticketed the vehicle, had the vehicle towed, or ticketed and towed the vehicle. She should count herself lucky. All she got was a severe tongue lashing. If that were me, I would have made sure her car was towed. Comment 2. Not the idiot. In some cities, blocking a driveway is a ticketable offence, and the police probably would have towed the car. Being in a hurry to get to a bridal shower is no excuse. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Only idiots and entitled jerks think they can park across a driveway. What the frick has yellow lines painted in front of their driveway anyway? Was the girl high? Now for the next story. The ex and I divorced over a decade ago. At the time we were making about the same amount of money, so we agreed to share custody, shared cost of raising the children, and no child support. She married a guy who was making more money than me, so they were able to take my kids to places and do things I couldn't at the time. I contributed as much as I could then. The ex covered the rest. For example, they spent a month in Italy one summer, and all I could afford at the time was to give my kids $1,000 each, and the ex covered the rest. When it came time to buy cars for the kids, we disagreed on buying them new or used cars. In the end, I contributed $5,000 per child, and she covered the rest for their new cars. Before the pandemic, my brother had a great idea, and we started a business together. Our business grew during the pandemic, and it's been growing every month since then. Last month, my youngest asked me to help her pay for grad school. I told her that I'll cover the entire cost, and she was very happy with that. I guess word got back to the ex, and she called me last week asking where I'm getting the money, since she thought I was still at my old job, and knows that the old salary could never allow me to be that generous. I refused to answer any of her questions, and we ended up in a huge argument. Basically, she demanded me to pay her back for covering my share of the children's expenses during our divorce if I have now money. I told her to go ahead and hold her breath while waiting for my check because our divorce was finalized and the kids are all over 20 now. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot at all. Your ex is insane to ask for such a thing. You owe her nothing. You both made the agreement to contribute what you could, and that was literally done. She doesn't get to change your previous agreement now because you started a business later and are better off, and your business is continuing to grow. Nice. She too wound up better off marrying a guy who made more money. She doesn't get to backtrack and ask for more now, especially now that you're paying your kids' grad school tuition in full, which leaves her off the hook. WTF. In a way, you're already paying her back by doing this, and she doesn't have to. Your ex is the AH here. Best of luck. Comment 2. The fact that your daughter came to you for help with costs is indicative that your ex has run out of money, or her husband isn't as generous anymore. Your kids probably have some clues of her sudden greed. But anyway, not the idiot. The money was never for her but for your children, and it's still going towards the children like paying graduation costs. It's just not going through her anymore. Comment 3. Not the idiot. It sounds like you consistently contributed to their educations, health, and you had 50% in custody. The fact that she spent more money on luxuries is her choice, that is, new cars instead of used month-long vacation. Even then you also sent what you could. Child support is for the children, and you paid for them when they were growing up. Not sure what her logic is. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.